to learn amazing things, Lord. I just pray that we have open minds and open hearts to all the things that your Spirit wants to say to us today. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so I wanted to just give you a little bit of history. This idea, something of this nature, was in my heart and mind for about 2 years now. And Lois knows because I've been talking to her about it. But she's like, yes, it was. But I just didn't know how to bring it about, how to do it, what we should do. And then I think it was Cindy and Scott came to me with 3 or 4, actually, of my favorite words. I have an idea. Love those words. Yeah. Yeah. That to me is just like, I think Jesus smiles when he hears people say that. They have an idea. But anyway, so they kind of told me what they were thinking, and I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I've been dreaming about for the last couple of years. So I want to just say thank you for letting me do my thriving in being able to prepare this and to plan this, and that I just pray that there will be things that you will want to step into, that we can help facilitate you, and that you will come to me and say, I have an idea. And so that you can be set free and just set on a journey of thriving. So we're going to bring Cindy up. I have had the opportunity, we're going to start with health. Oh, really quick, if you have not yet gotten the handouts, they are in the entryway, so make sure that you grab those because we're going to be following in those. But I have had the opportunity of going to a couple of your classes, and every time I just learn something very helpful and very useful. So I know that it's going to be amazing today, and that there's going to be things that you're going to think, oh, I didn't realize I could be that free in the way that I eat. And I also need to publicly apologize to Cindy because I threw her under the bus on Sunday. She doesn't know this, though. But I said Cindy approved snacks, making it sound like there were off-limit foods. And so I know that's not your heart, so I apologize for that. But anyway, I'm just going to blame it on Scott because that's just what I have to do. Yeah, it was just Scott's fault. So, yeah, you get the microphone later. Yeah, Lois? Yes, they're being recorded. So there's kind of also a schedule on the cover sheet here of your handout. And I know we're a little bit behind, but we're going to take a 10-minute break after each one. And then we're going to try to wrap up as close as possible as we can, just to honor the fact that there's another church that meets in here after us. So we want to not cut into their time. So anyway, please welcome Cindy Ray.
Okay. Oh, it's working. Awesome. So how are you guys? How's everybody? Good. All right. Welcome. So glad you made the decision to be here. All right. You guys are all here because you made a decision. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is based on choices, like choices we make daily and choices for wellness. So what I like to do is whenever I start a class, I like to kind of settle in and do like a mindful moment. And it kind of sets the tone for what I talk about in my style. So let's go ahead and turn off your phones if they're on. We're going to kind of create this as a sacred space in a way. It is anyway. But as a space for us just to be here together, spending time taking care of yourself, and just focusing on you. Okay, so go ahead and put your things away. We're going to kind of relax and put your feet flat on the floor. I like to sit when I speak, too, because I feel more like an intimate connection with sitting. All right, so sit feet flat on the floor. Go ahead and sit up move your back up from the back of the chair, sitting up nice and tall. There you go. Put your hands on your thighs, just resting them down here. We're just going to take a few deep breaths together. So go ahead and inhale nice and deep through your nose. Inhale. And exhale. Good. As you exhale, let your shoulders just kind of drop down. Good. And inhale again. And blow it out. Let your shoulders drop. Let your upper torso drop. Kind of melt into it. Good. Let's do that 2 more times. Deep breath. Inhale all the way through your nose. And exhale fully. Blow it out. Let your body melt, 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 melt. Good. And one last deep cleansing breath. Inhale up. And blow out. Let your body melt. Good. kind of keep your body relaxed and just breathe normally for a sec. Keeping your eyes closed, I'm just going to read to you a little bit of an imagination story. So with your eyes closed, imagine feeling light, free to move as you wish, playing Legos or having a tea party with your children or grandchildren, getting up and down from the floor with ease, going on scenic hikes in the fresh, feeling the air brushing up against your face, being in awe of nature that surrounds you, going on walks with friends, enjoying conversation and fellowship, hopping on your bike with your family and taking in the lake view, feeling the wind in your hair and the sun on your cheeks. You are full of life, you're full of energy, vitality, and you have a mindset of wellness, love, and a love of life. Living life abundantly, ready for anything, because you can move easily and have stamina. Treating your body with love and care, resting it when it needs, and moving it when the opportunity or desire arises, because that is just how life is for you. All right. Guys, can you kind of picture that? All right, go ahead and kind of gradually open your eyes. You can blink them open if you like. Could you guys imagine yourself in that space? What does it feel like? Freeing? Freeing. How else? How else does that feel? So she said freeing, and you said some things? Young. Feels young, right? So when I was praying about what to speak about today, I asked the Lord, I said, okay, Lord, what do you want me to talk about? And he said, remind them how on earth as it is in heaven, right? So the choices that we make moment to moment with our wellness, moment to moment, day to day, meal to meal, deciding to move or not, are choices, right? And we can make choices to either improve our wellness and live in this imagination I just described, or we can make choices that move us out of wellness and into limiting life and lifestyle activities. Okay, so the biggest part, or one of the foundational pieces of wellness is mindset, right? So I could teach you guys all day long about how to eat healthy, how to exercise and move your body, but if your mind is not ready for change, or maybe you desire change, but you're not really actually ready to take action and do it, those are two different things, right? So I can be totally ready. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired of feeling this way. I'm so tired of being tired, tired of eating something and then just feeling guilty about it, or eating and feeling yucky, or not moving and feeling sluggish. And that's a choice, and that's okay. That's the thing. It's a lot of times we're told it's not okay. You're not supposed to. Technically it's okay. It's a choice. But in order to live for the glory of God and as an act of worship, to treat our bodies as best as we can gives glory back to the Father, right? When we choose not to, it's not, because we're not living out our full potential, okay? So mindset is a really big component of wellness. Like I said, if you're not ready in your mind, it's not going to happen. But if you are, you're going to have long-term results. So the other picture, so I was talking about, we were imagining feeling really good and full of vitality and living an abundant life. The other picture is, you don't have to close your eyes for this, but imagine yourself in a walker or wheelchair prematurely, right? Unable to easily get up and down and play with your children or grandchildren. Your life is limited because your options are limited because of physical health, and you can't fully enjoy life. That's another option, right? So which would you guys rather have? What sounds ideal to you? It's a hard one, yeah, and it can be hard because making change is hard. Making change is not easy, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? But God calls us to challenge ourselves, and once we do, for the better, he'll walk with us, right? The narrow path is a little bit more challenging than everybody does the wide path. That's easy, right? and if you guys were considering what it's like that you want to walk on the narrow path, you wouldn't be here right now. You're wanting to learn, you're wanting to improve yourselves and improve your life. So if you think about it, So when we think about elderly people, right? So elderly people can fall into two camps. They can be walkers and wheelchairs and not doing much, or people like Jack LaLanne. You guys remember Jack LaLanne? He was the guy in Morro Bay swimming the channel at however old, 80s, with a weight behind him. You know, he was this model of fitness and healthy lifestyle. And he lived it out, right? I don't know if he like overworked himself, but he lived a long time. And he lived out a life of wellness. And it's kind of like the fountain of youth, essentially, right? So if we're eating healthfully, giving ourselves nutritious whole foods, we're going to slow down our aging process, right? But if we decide to eat processed foods on a regular basis and speak negativity into our lives, it's going to age you very quickly, right? Or smoking or whatever negative lifestyle habits. So again, you have a choice. So do you want to live like, maybe not specifically like Jack LaLanne, but you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you can picture, I've seen women, you know, older women playing tennis together in tennis clubs, or men playing golf and having a great time, or women going for walks together by the lake, or, you know, things like that, or hiking. Activities like that at any age are possible. You could be 30 years old and living like an 80-year-old, you know? So it just depends on, number one, obviously how you treat yourself with physical things, like with exercise and food, but then also how you treat yourself emotionally, what you say to yourself. So there was a study, I don't know if you guys have heard of this one, but there's a Japanese researcher in the 50s or early 60s, and he was studying how we speak to ourselves and how it affects our being. It was with ice, and has anybody seen this with the ice crystals? So he had in Petri dishes a variety of just water, and one area of Petri dishes he had negative speaking. You're ugly, you're worth nothing, you're never going to amount to nothing, like all the things, right? Like speaking into that. And then he had other Petri dishes where he was speaking beauty. Oh, you're amazing, you're gorgeous, you can do anything, you know, and even brought in God in a couple of these things and evil. And so then he froze them and then brought them back out and looked at them in a microscope. And the ones that were spoken to negatively, the ice crystals formed all jagged and like sharp and like erratic, like there was no symmetry. It was just it looked angry. And the ones that he froze, you know, and brought out that were spoken to with love had this amazing like formations, like it was all symmetrical. So that's how God is, right? He's symmetry. I mean, in nature, everything's symmetrical. Even emotions, I've learned recently, have symmetry in mathematically symmetrical. And so when just looking at that, and if you think about it, our bodies, how much of our bodies is composed of water? Anybody know? 78%. Right, so if you're speaking to yourself these things, and we're water, right? So either you can speak life or death, and we know that, right, in Scripture. So this is the same thing with wellness. You know, if you're speaking, or even just thinking, you know, negative thoughts, it's going to produce joint pain, inflammation, fatigue, unable to lose weight. There's so many things that we hold our issues are in our tissues. Have you guys ever heard that before? But our issues are not our tissues, but in our tissues, right, in our body. So we actually do hold emotions in our cells of our tissues. And that's a lot of times when I meet with clients, I'm a dietitian, I didn't say that yet. So when I meet with clients one-on-one in my practice, I have to go through all of the emotional stuff. I mean, to a level, that's not my specialty, but just to understand where they're coming from, and I can listen to their self-talk to see how it's keeping them stuck. So a lot of times they come to me, I want to lose weight, but I just can't. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? So they're eating right, they're exercising, they're doing all the things, but the weight does not budge. What would you guys say? What would your assessment be based on what I've taught you already? What is happening? Anybody? Toxicity, right. So the negative toxic issues that we think or say or beliefs that we've taken in from people who we, who we look up to, you know, like maybe a parent or a caregiver, somebody who's spoken to our lives at a young age. That's actually how we develop our beliefs about ourselves or just beliefs about the world. You know, for example, if you would have a parent or caregiver, whoever, say to you, eat all the food on your plate because there's kids starving in China or Africa or whatever country, right? And then so in your mind, that's truth, right? Because what your parents or somebody who you look up to says something, it's how we develop our view of the world and truths and things. And so if we are listening to that and we decide to believe it, then we think, okay, well, I need to perform and I need to do things right in order to gain their acceptance. And if I don't, and if I am responsible, then I get more accolades. You know, I'm responsible for eating all my food and do the things they want me to do. But then we have this, then later on as we get older, we have a really hard time leaving food on our plate because we have it in our tissues, the belief that I need to clear my plate or else. There's a negative consequence. So it's important to really understand and check your beliefs and learn how to reframe them so that they're truths, real truths, right? So does that make sense to you all? You guys kind of, okay. All right. So there's a scripture, let's see, that I have, that spoke to me the other day. Let's see if I can find, oh yes. So the thief comes only in order to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that they may have and enjoy life and have it in abundance to the full, till the overflow, John 10:10. That's Jesus himself telling us exactly that, right? I came to do all these, or allow you the opportunity to do all these amazing things for yourself, but you get the choice. We have free will, right? So we get to decide how you're going to do that. Okay. All right, so before I move into nutrition, I didn't introduce myself to you all. So I'm Cynthia Ray. No, Shannon calls me Cindy, which is totally fine. Professionally, I'm on my website stuff. It's Cynthia, so I don't want you guys to get confused. So Cynthia Ray, I'm a registered dietitian, almost a licensed dietitian in Idaho. I have to get all these documents done for Idaho. Anyway, and thank you to Scott for helping me with that. And then also a fitness specialist with the American College of Sports Medicine. So I grew up as an athlete. I've always loved health and fitness. It's kind of in my being. I don't know if my parents taught me that as a belief, but whatever, it works. And I've struggled too with mindset. And the reason why I understand behavioral nutrition at this level is because I went through my own struggles with food and my relationship with food. And to the point where I became a slave to fear when it came to food and trusting it as far as, oh, you know, if I eat this, it'll make me fat. If I eat too many calories, it'll make me fat. And I need to over-exercise so I don't get fat. So I had to go through a lot of work. It's a year of treatment and therapy to really start to allow myself to challenge my beliefs that I created about food and body and learn the truths and how to take my old beliefs that were hurting me and turn them and open my heart to the truths and living those out, which led to my recovery and healthy relationship with food. So that's why I've learned how important it is to teach everybody about mindset first and before diving into wellness. Okay? All right. So mindset. Mindset beliefs, I'm just going to read this to you guys real quick. Mindset and beliefs create and manifest your reality from the inside out, which I mentioned, right? So what we're talking about inside, it manifests on the outside. I'm going to talk about those papers in a minute, but if you guys want to take notes on those, that's fine. So like I said, check your self-talk and start listening what you're saying to yourself. I don't know if Scott's going to talk about this stuff too, but start listening to what you're saying to yourself. And the thing is, your self-talk can be so quiet and so auto, like knee-jerk reaction, you don't even realize you're saying it to yourself. So what I've realized more recently is I just need to ask the Holy Spirit to check me, like tell me, like give me that discernment. So when I'm saying something that's so like autopilot in my what's it called? Yeah, no, the nerves, the pathway in my brain, my neural pathway is just so like, you know, it's so smooth and such an easy highway that what I think, I didn't even realize I'm thinking, it just happens automatically. But to start to break that down and help me to rebuild new pathways of thinking. And I've been able to catch that and just basically say, okay, no, that's not true about me. Thank you, no thank you, but thank you, you know, Satan, I don't need those thoughts. And I just kind of do a little pivot. Okay, Lord, what do you want to tell me? Tell me the truth. And then that has been helpful for me to kind of shift my thinking. All right, so let's talk a little bit about abundance and scarcity mindsets. So what do you guys think that means? What's the difference between an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset? What does it sound like? Yeah. That's true. Yeah. It's called eating for hunger to come, or like there's another term for it. It's food scarcity. Food scarcity. Okay. Yes. So like the fear. Yes. Yeah. You got it. Yeah, exactly. So scarcity basically looks at limitations instead of opportunities. Okay. And I think I'm kind of setting this up for today because I know that's part of the thrive. What was it? Thrive to strive.
Yeah. From surviving to thriving.
Thank you. Surviving to thriving. I was confusing you. So that's a big part of it, right? So if we're just in survival mode, we're living in scarcity. We're kind of being chased all the time by something. We're being reactive instead of proactive, living ahead of it. Right? So if you're not feeling well, or you're just, achy all the time and tired and things, it's hard to catch up because of all the years and times and opportunities of making not great choices, because of living in a scarcity mindset of limitation. Alternatively, abundance mindset. So abundance mindset flows out of a deep inner sense of personal worth and security. It's a paradigm that is grounded in the belief that there is more than enough to go around for everyone. Right? So, marketing and advertising use a scarcity mindset for you to take action now. If you don't get it now, you're going to miss out. Right? Is that how God works? Right. And even if he said that, let's say a marketer said that. And do you think like a week later, if you went to ask, they would offer you that opportunity to take your money? Yes. Yes, right? So there really never is. We don't live in lack anyway. We live in abundance. And I know Pastor Dan's been talking about that for a while. I've been telling Corey, my husband, for the past couple weeks, I've just been living in flow. And this actually, I titled this talk, Living in the Overflow. Right? So we're never in lack. We just don't, that's not something we even have unless you allow yourself to live that way in the mindset. But I always feel like I'm living in the flow. Like I look up because I always have a flow of resources, a flow of whatever it is I need is always here. And if I'm opening myself up to receiving that flow, it's mine. And it's been manifesting like crazy. And it's been amazing. But I've been manifesting for me specifically. I've opened myself up to start seeing clients one-on-one again in our community, and all of a sudden I'm getting phone calls. But for me, it's opportunities to be Jesus's feet, to go out and speak to people what they need to hear, the message they need to hear. So it's been really exciting. But yeah, if you're living in the flow, you can have whatever you want. It's really amazing. Okay, so that's the abundance mindset. So instead of saying I can't, resolve in your mind to say instead what I can do to begin getting closer to where I want to be. I remember hearing from one person, I don't know, a while back, but they would say, this is money related, but they would say, which is money and food have a lot to do with each other. So they would say, okay, never tell your kids you can't have that because we can't afford it. I was like, what? Don't we all say that? Because your kid wants something, and you're like, that wasn't the plan for buying things today? So instead of saying, because that's a limiting belief, right? So what you would say instead is, let's find out a way that we can make a little extra money to get that thing, right? So it's an abundance mindset. It's like, let's find a way instead of, oh, we can't have it, can't afford it right now. Okay, that may be a truth in the moment, but is it always a truth? No, right. So, so I'm going to go through a different couple of limiting and empowering belief examples. So a limiting belief could be, I'm too old to do something. I hear that. My parents say that all the time. I'm like, what are you talking about? So an empowering belief would be, my age means that I have the experience and wisdom to do anything I want. Okay, let me go back to the other ones. Say it again. My age means that I have the experience and the wisdom to do anything I want. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through a couple more just so you get an idea. So another limiting belief could be, my body type is such that I cannot lose weight no matter what I do. Empowering belief, I can be slim and healthy if I exercise and eat right. Limiting belief, my family background limits what I can become in life. Empowering belief, I can become anything I want to with proper training and effort. Another limiting belief could be, I'm ugly and unappealing. Empowering belief, I'm attractive and desirable, right? Just the opposite. And that's probably the hardest thing, to actually say the opposite to yourself that you don't believe yet, right? So I know people say fake it till you make it and just keep saying it till you believe it, which there's some truth to that, I think. It takes a little while to get from your brain to your heart, and sometimes it takes some practice. And if you say it out loud, you can actually start realizing that God is saying that about you also. And you're like, oh wait, this kind of matches. But it takes some time. Okay, so once you've identified your limiting beliefs, it's time to replace them with empowering ones, right? Okay. Developing your why. So one more thing, and then I'll tell you about basic nutrition. Okay, so developing your why. So when you guys hear the word or the phrase developing your why, do you know what that means? Developing your why. Your why is your reason why. So you now understand about beliefs, about scarcity and abundance, but now you have to know, okay, well, why does it even matter to me? Do I even care about my health? Do I care about feeling better? Am I totally okay with where I'm at? You just have to decide that first. And then if you feel like you need to make change, or not, I guess, you have to know why you're choosing that path, right? Sometimes we don't even think about it. We just live life. But it's important to stop and think, why am I choosing this? Okay? So developing your why is something that would be very much heartfelt, heart-driven, something that's like a part of you. For example, this is a little bit different, but when you get in your car and before you drive, we usually automatically put our seatbelts on, right? We don't really, it's kind of a conditioned thing, right? But why do we do that? Why do you guys put your seatbelt on when you get in the car automatically? Get a ticket? I know. Were you going to say something? You don't like the windshield? Good for you? Yeah, you believe it benefits you. That's a strong why. And we keep doing it. It's a behavior that is benefiting our health. And there's a negative consequence that motivates us, right? And a positive one too. What about getting up in the morning and brushing your teeth? Why do we do that? The morning breath? Positive result, right? And avoiding a negative social consequence, right? You want to, yeah. That's a good one too. Awesome, yeah. Okay, and then the other one was, why do we shower after we're all sweaty and dirty? if you choose to shower. Okay, yeah, so why do we choose to shower? So Shannon will hug you. Yeah. Yeah. It's healthy, right? And yeah, Pastor Dan said, so Shannon will hug him, which is his truth, right? And the thing is, certain things, they apply your own personal truth. Everybody had a different answer. And it's your own truth. It's your own reason why. So those are examples of whys, why we do what we do. Okay? So when it comes to your wellness, you also need to think if you want to make change or not. Why? I'm gonna ask you guys, why is it even important to be concerned your wellness? Why is it important for me to share with you guys? Why is health a thing? Yeah. Rather expand than contract. Okay, that's good. Longevity, right? Longevity. Mm-hmm. And you, yeah, so quality of life, like good quality of life, yeah. Yet energy, yeah. Who doesn't want that? Feel better. So why is it so hard to go from point A to point B sometimes, like to make change? Programming. It hurts your brain. It really does. To do things intentionally. What were you saying? Oh, shame. Yeah, that's a big one too. To not do it. We're talking about, yeah, so choosing not to do it, low self-esteem. Or have you guys ever heard the word low, or not low necessarily, but self-efficacy? You guys know what self-efficacy is? So self-efficacy is your belief in yourself that you can accomplish something or not. So it's your self-efficacy. So we might have the desire to do it, but do we believe we can actually do it? That's a whole nother thing, right? That's what I teach too. And so I have an online academy. It's called the Well Within Lifestyle Academy. And it's everything I'm teaching you now, plus, is in there. So if you need more work in this area, just let me know. I can share that with you. And you can dive into that as well. All right. So we're talking about whys. So developing your why. That's important too. So when you have a moment, you can kind of journal that and think, okay, why? Why is this important to me? And it's personal for each person too. I feel like I was going to share something else about your why. Yeah, so some examples that my clients have used when they're doing, because in the Well Within Lifestyle Academy, part of the modules is you have to develop a why. And your why can always be changing. It's not written in stone. It could be your why for this season of your life. And as you progress and change, your why may or may not change. So some of the things that women have shared as far as their why, one of the most common lately has been for the glory of God. Like that's a really important why to them. A lot of my clients in my private practice more recently have been saying for their children, to be an example to their children. Like it's so important for them to exemplify wellness to their kids because they want to have that for their children as well. And then to learn from me to teach them is another opportunity. So you just have to think of what it is for you. That would hold fast. And it needs to be something that's a little bit more long-term. If we just say, oh, I just want to lose weight, that's nice, but it doesn't keep us going. It's like, okay, well, and if you lose the weight and you get there, you're like, okay, I'm good. Then what happens? It comes back, right? Mm-hmm. Belief is strong. Yes. Yeah, because belief probably comes before motivation. Yeah. Yeah, he said motivation's a symptom. Yeah. Okay, you guys ready to do a little nutrition exercise? Not physical. We're not going to do jumping jacks, but we could. Okay, so Shannon's going to help me distribute some. So some of you guys may have done this before. I do this usually in my classes, but it's a good way to start getting an idea of what it means to live more mindfully with your food. And then you can tell me how I'm doing on time, Shannon. So just take one raisin, pass it down. Don't eat it, just hold on to it. Don't eat it yet, unless you want some. I can give you some more. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you've done it before, it's kind of a nice way to revisit and remember. Sorry if you guys just don't like raisins, but that's part of the exercise. Okay, so everybody almost have a raisin. So you guys can do this with communion next time. Okay, so what I'm going to teach you about right now is a little concept called mindful eating. So we did a little mindful exercise at the very beginning. So mindful eating is a really big component of general health and wellness, because a lot of times we eat and don't even realize we're eating. We miss the flavor of the food. We miss the texture. We miss the temperature. We just eat just to eat or to move on to the next activity. Or sometimes we may just sit and actually savor the food because it's the opportunity. But this is an opportunity to have you get in touch with food and the importance of it in our lives. All right, so just hold on to your raisin. I'm going to read through this little script, and we're going to go along with what it says. Okay, so this is a mindful eating exercise. It's an experience of mindful eating You can prepare, let's see. Okay, here we go. First, take the food, you have your little raisin, and hold it between your pointer finger and your thumb. Bring your attention to it as if it were a novel item. Imagine that you've never seen this before in your life. First, here we go. Take the time to observe the raisin carefully. Really see it. Gaze at it with careful and full attention. Let your eyes get crossed. Let your eyes explore every part of it, noticing its shape, colors, and surfaces. Examine its grooves, where the light shines, and shadows. Rotate and move the raisin between your fingers, continuing to explore its texture. Apply a small bit of pressure to it and notice whether it's soft or hard. You might close your eyes if that helps you focus and enhance your sense of touch. Recognizing this is a raisin, note any thoughts you might have about raisins. Any memories about them, feelings of liking or even disliking them. Okay, hold the raisin under your nose and inhale naturally. With each breath in, notice any aroma or smell that arises. Bring awareness also to any effect in your mouth or your stomach. Okay, so now we're going to start to put it in your mouth, but don't chew it. So now bring the raisin slowly up to your mouth, noticing how your hand and arm know exactly how and where to position it. I know we don't think about that, but it's true, right? It's amazing. Some people can't do that. Okay. Being aware if you're salivating as the mind and body anticipate eating. All right, so place the raisin gently in your mouth without chewing it yet. Hold the raisin in your mouth for at least 10 seconds, exploring it with your tongue, feeling the sensations of having it there. Notice this pause and how it feels to take some time before eating the raisin. When you are ready, prepare to chew the raisin. Take 1 or 2 bites into it and notice what happens. Bring your full attention to its taste and texture as you continue chewing. Take time to chew without swallowing, noticing the taste and texture of the raisin in your mouth and how it may change over time. When you feel ready, swallow the raisin. Bring awareness to the sensation that even this is experienced consciously. Lastly, notice what is left of the raisin as you swallow and it travels down to your stomach. Notice how your body as a whole is feeling after completing this exercise. Okay. Everyone good? We're done? All right. Let's do some questions. How was this experience the same or different than how you normally eat? It's a lot slower. Were you going to say something? Yeah, this is good. There was, yeah. What, if anything, surprised you about this experience? Anything about the raisin or about the experience? What's that? Made you think about the food? Yeah. Little squish. Yeah. Okay, inside was softer. Okay. All right. Did it? Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah, maybe because like the tip of your tongue has a different, yeah, that's excellent. All right. Okay, what did you notice with the raisin in terms of sight, touch, sound, smell, and taste? Did it talk to you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Like little, like sugar maybe. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Did you notice that too? The sugar, like the sugar crystals? Anything else? Softer? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, excellent. All right. And then what thoughts or memories popped up while doing this exercise? Do you have any memories of raisins or thoughts about it, or? Oh yeah, the California raisins. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's such a small thing can produce that experience. You can imagine what like a scoop of food would do, right? Okay. What's one tip for yourself that you are going to take from this experience to apply in your everyday eating habits? Eat slower. Okay. Taste it. Taste it, right? And also with mindful eating, it's also an appreciation for it, appreciation for where it came from, what farmers took to take it from a seed to a plant to the harvesting to the store, the whole process, if you think about it. And then also the person who prepared it. Like especially if you go out somewhere, you just grab something quick to eat, actually thinking about where it came from and how it was produced. It just kind of, puts in a mindset of gratitude in there too. So that's all about being mindful. Mindful means being present, being in the moment, experiencing what it feels like to have your legs and bottom on the chair, what the texture is of the chair. Oh, I didn't realize that the back wall was blue and the side ones were beige. Like being here, present in the moment, which I feel like God has been showing me over and over again over the past maybe year or two. Remember one day I was fixing my bed and just thinking about my day. And all of a sudden I heard in my heart and my mind, just fix your bed. I was like, oh, just be right here experiencing the texture of the blankets. Oh, I didn't realize my pillow had this on it, these flowers and this, arrangement. But just to be in the present. Because I was reading yesterday about being in the flow. I was talking about being in the flow. And being in the flow is mindfulness. It's living in the moment. And when our minds are busy, we miss God. But when we have to intentionally, set up our morning to really hear him, because we have to kind of do our best to calm our thoughts, center them, and to hear. But if we're busy, it keeps it away. So, okay, how much time do I have? 10 minutes? Okay, we'll run through nutrition. Okay, but I just want to set up that huge foundation for you all. Okay, so if you want to grab out the sheets with the slides on them. Where's my laptop? Oh, here it is. Okay, so now that you know all of that, now you can take a little bit of nutrition information. So the idea is to eat food that's closer to nature. What does that mean? God's food, right? Yeah. Not processed. And it's amazing because there's so many other countries who still eat that way, not whole food only, because they don't have the access to processing, which is kind of a blessing in disguise. But our lifestyle is so busy because we're allowed to, it creates busyness with ease, like with computers and phones, and like we have instant access to everything. So, but it actually makes us busier because we think we can have whatever we want anytime we want it. Anyway. So yeah, so whole food eating. And one time I was praying a couple of years ago, and I was telling God, just tell me right now, how do you want us to eat? Like, what's the bottom line? And he's like, eat according to the season. I was like, okay. Right, seasonally makes sense, right? But then also I realized later on, like a year later, that not just like according to like what foods are available in the season, but also the season of your life. Because that changes, right? And one season of your life, you need this kind of food. And one season of your life, those foods don't work for you as well as they used to. So it's knowing how to adapt and evolve with the seasons of your life and the food that your body needs. And movement too. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to skip past a couple of them. We're going to go to slide 4 back there, what makes a balanced meal. So what makes a balanced meal? So we're just going to do very basic things, which you guys may or may not know, but it's nice to revisit. Okay, so a basic meal balanced meal includes a carbohydrate, which is a grain or a fruit. You guys got it? Yeah, so what makes a meal balanced? A carbohydrate, a grain or a fruit, some kind of a healthy fat source, a protein, whether it's animal or plant, and a vegetable, right? So there's on there, you see a little plate there? So that'll show you the proportions. So as you can tell on the left side of the plate, it has plants primarily, right? I guess grains are plants too, but fruits and veggies, more color. And on the right side is more of the beige brown stuff. Okay, so what I've learned over the years is that the more plant foods you eat, the better off you will be. I have never met anybody who has gotten any kind of chronic illness from eating too many plants. Have you guys? No, right? It doesn't happen. What's that? Okay, that's a different kind. And then what about too much animal protein? What does that do? We've just known like high cholesterol, right? High blood pressure, so on. And then grains are always good, right? I mean, Jesus ate grains all the time. But these, in our country, unfortunately, the grain supply is not what it was in Israel 2,000 years ago. There was so much protein in those grains, so much fiber, so many minerals, so many nutrients. You can eat a loaf of bread and get so much nutrition from there. And fish, even better, right? So the grains now in our country, because of overpopulation, I believe, we're forced to overproduce food because of supply and demand. So that's where, if you guys have heard of GMOs, genetically modified organisms, those came into play in the 60s and then became more prevalent these days. So it's usually in our wheat and grain products. And the genetically modified organisms are to help to, I guess, deter the insects from the foods. So the funny thing is, the reason why the insects are deterred is because it's not really real food anymore. They don't recognize, their bodies don't recognize it. So what it is they take, just briefly I'll explain this, so if you guys don't know this. So genetically modified organisms, they take the DNA of the grain or whatever it happens to be and switch it up a little bit so it can be more repellent to the bugs and also produce more quickly so we can have supply and demand, right? And it works for the bugs, but they still do pesticides. But our bodies don't recognize it because I always think food for the body, body for the food. That's how God created it, right? To match. But if it doesn't match our bodies don't recognize it. And so you wonder why we have so much gluten intolerance, right? So the amount of gluten in a GMO grain is like ridiculously much higher than, it's like 1,000 or so, higher than it is in a traditional non-GMO grain. So just to give you that as a little aside. And then, so if you want to eat bread, that's fine. Just get non-GMO. You can look, there's little labels on the bread bags. You can do that, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, that too. Oh, even more so, yeah. Okay. Okay. So it's super resilient. Anyway, and yeah, and absorbed in the soil and all that stuff. Oof. All right, so non-GMO. Okay. You can also, the thing is too with GMO and non-GMO is, so in Europe, there's not GMO farms, I believe. But if you get imported wheat, like from Italy, I know at Costco they have imported pasta from Italy, and it's non-GMO naturally because it's not a thing there. And it tastes so much better. Also, I was seeing a naturopathic doctor a couple years ago, and she was telling me that she was getting a lot of patients coming to her from Russia, which is interesting in this area. I didn't know there was that much of a Russian population, because they're having digestive issues because of coming to this country and eating the food. And so she took them off dairy and wheat, and whenever they'd go back to visit family in Russia or anywhere in Europe, they would eat whatever they wanted and were totally fine. So that's pretty much like a direct correlation, right? So you can imagine what it's doing to us. Anyhow, I'm not really into like a lot of controversy, but I'm interested in educating on facts or things that'll help you. Okay, so let's go on to what makes a snack a snack. So a meal is a combination of those things I showed you. And then a snack is a little bit different. It's typically a combination of 1 to 3 of the meal components. So it could be like a carb and a protein. So it could be like crackers and cheese. That would be kind of like a snack. You can do a veggie and hummus. You could do almond butter and apples. So it's like a 1 to 3 of a combination of the main meal ingredients or components. Okay? All right. And then we're going to go to our body's needs macronutrients. Okay, so just to kind of go over this, the ratios. So I know right now the word macros is really popularized in diet culture, but it's really nothing new. It's just what I've been doing as a dietitian forever. It's just helping people balance their diets. That's all it really means, with carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So typically, the anybody, the human diet needs about 40 to 65% of their diet from carbohydrate sources. Carbohydrates aren't bread. Just everybody thinks, when they tell me, oh, I don't like carbs, I'm like, okay, you don't like fruit or vegetables? Like, no, we do. I'm like, okay, what about potatoes? No. What about bread? No. I'm like, okay, well, all of those are carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are breads, pasta, rice, cereal, any type of grains, fruit, vegetables, potatoes. Basically, majority of plant foods are a carbohydrate. Actually, they all are. Okay. If somebody tells me they want to eat really healthy, but they don't like carbs, but they want to be a vegan, that's impossible. Because a vegan diet is high carbohydrate naturally, because it's all plants, right? How much carbohydrate does a piece of chicken have? Does anybody know? Any guess? What would be your guess? None, right? Right. So, but we need, because of our brain chemistry and our brain energy needs and our body energy needs, we need carbohydrates, either as stored energy in our muscles or liver, or for immediate energy, just for everyday use. Okay? All right. And then protein, about 20% of our diet would come from protein. Again, this is all based on physiological need and function. So proteins are meats, beans, you guys have heard of quinoa, legumes, and lentils. Another one I don't have on this bottom bullet point is garbanzo beans and black beans are super high in protein, almost as much protein as like a piece of chicken. Same with legumes and lentils. So if you wanted to do a vegan diet, you could. You just have to know how to do it. That's where I come in to help you if you need help with that, with balancing it. Yeah, so plant proteins and animal proteins are different. Plant proteins have amino acids. That's the building blocks our bodies need to build up our muscles and bones, like our structural portion. But, so plants have amino acids, and so do animal proteins. But plants don't have all the amino acid profile. They only have a portion of it that our bodies need. Animal protein has the complete amino acid profile our body needs. So it's important to have, I believe, at least a little bit of animal protein in your diet, especially for iron. Iron in plants is different than iron in animals. So the iron in animals is heme iron, which is what our bodies as animals have. So when we take in heme iron, it just takes it right in because it's the same, right? Plants have non-heme iron, which is a good source of iron, but people can become anemic or lack vitamin B12 if they're just eating plants with no or very little animal protein. Okay, that's just how God made our bodies. And you can be vegan, that's a thing. You just have to know how to supplement it if you are. Yeah, I have a cleanse group that I do, and I have them take vitamin B12 and supplemental iron if needed. So, but we can do that. All right, fats. So we need about 30% of our diets need to come from fat. Isn't it interesting how it's more than protein? Oh, wait, did I have it backwards? I think I did it backwards. It's the other way around. Sorry, guys. 30% protein and 20% fat. Did that seem weird? I'm going to fix that on my slide right now. 20% fat. There we go. Okay, but it's still higher, right? It's still close to protein. So there's different fats: monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and saturated, and trans fat. So mono, poly, and saturated are all natural forms of, in nature, found in nature fats. Trans fats are actually chemically modified fats. They're made in a lab. And trans fats are usually found in bakery items or crackers and cookies, things you find on a shelf. They help with preservation of the food and also taste. So it's more of like a food chemistry produced. Yeah, it helps preserve it. Yeah, the fats don't go as rancid as fast, yeah. So it's basically what they do is they take a saturated fat molecules and then they switch it's called trans, or they switch the bond, and then it creates a trans fat. So it kind of helps with preservation of the fat. But it's not healthy. It's not good for you. It can lead to elevated cholesterol levels, things like that. Okay, I'll wrap it up. Thank you, Shannon. Okay, let's talk about macronutrients and water, and then that will be done. Okay, so micronutrients with the green beans. So micronutrients are minerals, vitamins and minerals, and the body needs vitamins and minerals, of course. We need a lot of magnesium, particularly. Our bodies can rid magnesium very easily, and if you ever get like muscle cramps or foot twitching or leg twitching, that's a magnesium deficiency. Usually magnesium, you lose it because of stress or sugar intake or alcohol. Easy, right? Or exercise. So you want to make sure you're taking in magnesium regularly to avoid, or like any body aches, things like that. That's usually magnesium deficiency. Okay. So I just want to share that. You guys have those papers to take home with you. You can look at that. And let's skip back down to, so I'm going to have you take a look at water on your own, how much water you need. You know, we talked about how much water is in our bodies and how much we need it. We die first of dehydration, then lack of nutrition, right? So we need water the most. Okay, let's go down to slide 11 back there, guys. I'll finish off with this. So Mediterranean diet, let's talk about that before we go. Mediterranean diet, have anybody heard of this style of eating? Mediterranean diet? And is it healthy or not? Yeah, it's like amazing, right? So it's funny because in these days in Mediterranean countries, it's not like this anymore because of westernization. So, but back in the 50s and 60s, this is how people in this region would eat. So whether it was Italy, Greece, Crete, all of the Mediterranean areas in the Mediterranean Sea, these are the people that are living the longest on our earth because they're eating. So if you look at the pyramid on it, look at all the plants at the beginning. You don't get to animal protein to the over halfway up, right? But fortunately, in those countries, they have good wheat. But here we have options. We still can choose non-GMO or imported wheat. So lots of plants. This is, I believe, how God created our bodies. I went back to Genesis and read about it, and it said, eat the plants. He said, eat the plants twice in Genesis, because I wanted to really see what he said in creation, what he told Adam and Eve. Eat the plants I grew for you or created. You guys can look it up. It's really cool. And then a little bit of fish. This is the Mediterranean area, right? So you have a lot of fish. And then meats and eggs. And then sweets. Look at how they put red meat with sweets at the top. That's how much they want us eating red meat. So limited portion, right? Okay. But the thing is with a Mediterranean diet too, it's not just the eating, it's the exercise at the bottom, daily physical activity and eating with family. The reason why people in Mediterranean areas have such longevity is not just because how they eat, it's their mindset. They wake up in the morning and get excited about the day. They're hopeful. They look forward to what's happening that day for them, and they're huge in community. They eat together as families. They commune together as families. They farm together. They're active. They're farming and active till death. You know, they're always out there doing something. And I know, and I believe that that's one of the contributing factors for their longevity. It's not just food, it's mindset. That's where this all comes down to. And it all lines up with Scripture, which is amazing, right? Okay. So on the very last page, I just wanted to tell you guys some last few things, key points. So when you're choosing food, you want to fill your plate with veggies and use meats as a side dish. You guys have that one? Okay. It's kind of maybe dark, I don't know. And then also drink water throughout the day, and 1 cup every 15 minutes when you exercise. That's just kind of a standard. Limit alcohol to 1 to 2 glasses per day, which is a lot. But I really tried living out the Mediterranean diet for a while, and it was hard to keep up with the Mediterraneans with their wine. I couldn't do it every day. I am like, this is great, but I can't do it. Anyway, they have in Mediterranean lifestyle, they have 1 glass for women and 2 per men. That's normal per day of wine. Red wine. So I guess Jesus' people did too, that's where he was raised. Consume adequate carbohydrates and healthy fats. Listen to your body for the amount to eat. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're satisfied. That's the key to weight management. No calorie counting, no measuring. Listen to your body and eat whole food. Exercise, and that helps you avoid emotional eating as well. And I have a whole other class on emotional eating, which we'll do another time. Exercise for at least 30 minutes a day, at least 3 to 5 days per week. right? So in order to do all of these beautiful things and live out this lifestyle, you have to know the mindset stuff first, why you want to do it, why it's important to you, if it even matters to you. And if it does, know why, and then you can start implementing some of these things. You can start with breakfast. I'm just going to start eating with, my breakfast regularly. That can be one little, what do I eat? A variety of things. So I'll have, I just had a smoothie, like a protein smoothie this morning. Sometimes I'll do like a brown rice cake with, what's it called? Sunflower seed butter on it and some tea. Sometimes I'll have a couple eggs and veggies. Yeah, so just some whole food and with color. Yeah, get as much color as you can. Okay. So if you guys have more questions for me, or you want to take this further, you need more personal help, I'm available. I'm in private practice now in Idaho. I'm excited, and California and wherever else people can do Zoom. Yeah, whatever your health needs are, whether it's weight management, any disease conditions you need help with managing with nutrition, you need motivation with your exercise, that's my thing. So let me know. There's info in the back with my card. So, all right, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome, Shannon.
I got it right this time. Wow, that was amazing. I loved it. I love all that stuff. That's just makes me so excited. As you were speaking, I know that it's not just going to be you, but it's going to be in the wealth and the relationship aspects as well. But that verse that says, "As a man thinks, so he is," and that's what we're talking about here today. The way we think is going to determine our destiny. And so, anyway, thank you so much, Cynthia, for sharing that with us today. We're going to take a short break. If you want to talk to Cynthia privately, go ahead and do that. Ask her for prayer, whatever. She'd be willing to do that and work with you. Get some snacks, use the restroom, whatever, and we'll come back in a few minutes. Thanks.